I'm ready. Let's go. Welcome to Potter Familias, coming to you from Fairhope, Alabama. What's that Saturday Night Live thing?
What's the what?
The Saturday Night Live thing that Jim Carrey did.
Oh yeah.
What is that? But only their heads move. Right. Exactly. Night at the Roxbury. That's what it is.
I'm Todd Sylvester.
I'm Stephen Sylvester. This is Potter Familias.
You already said that in the recording.
I did. I just wanted to say it again to make sure, just
To
in
do it
case you
live?
were wondering.
Just to do it live?
Yeah, for authenticity and stuff.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Okay, I thought I already forgot. Disposable culture.
Disposable culture.
and the genius of the boomers. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not a boomer though. I'm a Gen Xer.
Right. So
why don't you say the genius of the Gen Xers?
Well, because
punk?
you are a weird Gen Xer, and I'll explain what I mean. So,
What?
right, and not in a bad way, in a good way. Here, I'll tell you what I'm talking about. So, I was reading an article about a guy who is in his late 60s, who said that he knows how to fix and or completely replace by himself every single thing on his property. And he was writing this article from the point of view of, because he had seen those videos we've talked about before where the dad is teaching his daughter how to do things.
Dad, how do I?
Dad, how do I? Which is wonderful. I think that's amazing.
He's got
But
over 2 million subscribers.
that's awesome. And this guy who was
Although
on...
some of his videos, he's reading children's books now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, like for his grandkids or something?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
It's gotten weird, but anyway, go ahead.
That normally happens, right?
I think he just
rest in peace, Shaytards.
I think he
So,
just I think he just ran out of stuff to do.
I mean, fair enough. But yeah, so I lost my train of thought. Oh, so
this guy can do all these things.
This guy wrote an article in response to that saying that's normal for most of the people that he grew up with who are around his age. Where,
you have to.
Right, because there was no other choice. So if your vacuum cleaner breaks, you fix it.
You take it
don't
apart.
Right. And back then,
It's
a
normally
lot of
the
things,
belt, by the way. It's normally the belt.
Okay,
I'm just
yeah,
gonna
it's
tell you
normally the
that.
belt. And I actually do know how to do that, in fairness. I know how to do one thing when it comes to fixing stuff. So leave me alone. But
I didn't say anything.
your eyes were saying it. So this guy wrote an article explaining that his daughter was amazed when she came over and he was telling her, I can fix the oven, I can fix the vacuum cleaner, I can fix everything on my car. He knows how to do all this stuff because all the stuff in his house is relatively old. Like, it's been a while since he's bought anything new because he knows how to fix everything. And his daughter was like, well, why don't you just buy new stuff? And he was like, it was like he was talking to an alien, he said, because of the mindset difference. So the genius of boomers in that generation is that they did not have the option that we have today of ordering something new on Amazon that's pretty cheap and will work for a while and can replace basically all of our stuff that way.
Right.
They had to fix things, so they learned without manuals or YouTube or anything.
Well, because you had to. We had a friend that came over one time, and I was in the middle of fixing or changing out the water heater.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy's an engineer. He's an engineer.
Okay.
So to me, I'm thinking engineer, that means you can fix anything. I guess that's not the case. Because he came over, and it was a weird thing that I was trying to do it when they were coming for the weekend because Mom said, we have to have hot water.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to wait until Monday so I could get a better deal on the water heater. I know. All right. And so I'm bad.
You're not getting me on your side in this story.
Okay. Anyway. So I'm in the middle of cutting the pipe, and because they didn't even have cutoffs on this one water heater. It was just dumb.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I was going to ask if they had cutoffs, you know?
And so he was like, Todd, this is so amazing that you can do this. And I said, no, it's not. This is nothing that I'm doing is amazing. I wasn't even sweating the valves on. I
was going to ask
valves.
if you were doing that.
I'm going to punch you again. It was a very tight fit. It was the only reason why I wasn't doing it. But I was putting all of it together, and I'm reconnecting the gas line. He's like, well, what's that stuff that you're putting on there? I'm like, pipe dope. He goes, what? I was like, come on. You can't tell me as an engineer that you don't know how to do this kind of stuff. But he can just make a phone call.
Mm-hmm.
Because he is an engineer. He can just make a phone call. I couldn't. Weekend rates with a plumber? Are you kidding me?
Yep.
It's not going to happen.
So for some things, yeah, there is definitely an economic divide where some people are able to pretty much replace all of their stuff because they are economically able to do so. We're not really in that position, but I'm revealing a lot about myself and my mind. Well, yeah. Excuse me.
I think that'd be cool to be able to just call
LaCroix for the.
We're not sponsored by LaCroix.
We're
stop
not
saying that.
I was going to say thank you to LaCroix for making me burp so that I have to keep coming back.
But I think that'd be cool to be able to make a phone call and say, "Fix it." I don't even need an estimate.
Hey, LaCroix,
just fix it.
If you sponsor us, then maybe we will make a phone call and get things fixed and replaced like that. But I'm showing my age by even the mindset that I have when it comes to this stuff, because I would assume that our first course of action is like, okay, how much does it cost on Amazon to replace this thing that is broken? Instead of
like when you called me when your dryer broke recently.
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
Well, see, this is the difference, is that we have a you who we can call and say, hey, can you fix this? Do you know how to fix this? Because you're one of those people who knows how to fix things. And a lot of people in the boomers generation learned how to do a lot of that stuff.
So how much would a new gas dryer cost you?
Oh, I have no idea. Literally, I have no idea.
Come on, $1 million? Take a guess.
$20?
$1 million?
$300.
You got to keep going up.
Okay, $500.
Closer.
600?
Yeah, around 600.
Ugh, yeah, we can't afford that.
How much was the part that I paid to fix your dryer?
Wasn't it like $30?
20.
Yeah, $20. Yeah,
$20 for a new igniter.
And our dryer's fine. It's not like I was saying like, oh darn, we got to get a new dryer. But if you had handed me the part and been like, okay, work on it, would have, I maybe could have fixed it, but it would have taken me hours to figure out what I'm supposed to do. With some YouTube videos. Well, YouTube doesn't count because they didn't have YouTube. The boomer generation didn't have YouTube to learn all this stuff. Neither did your generation, by the way. Yeah. Y'all didn't have YouTube to figure all this stuff out. So to us,
but once you get in there,
to millennials, hang on, let me finish my point. To millennials like me, it looks like magic when y'all do stuff like that.
That's what I'm saying, because you've never been in there.
Yeah. Once
you get in there, you start to figure out how things are put together, how they're manufactured. Just like I have opened that dryer now so many times to replace the felt guides on it and everything else, that I can do it in my sleep, because you just start to know. Like one of the screws was too difficult for me to unloosen.
Yeah.
So I knew how to get the whole gas assembly out of there just to take the igniter off.
Okay.
Because you just start to know.
And you just knew from doing it before.
Right. Like, oh, it's got to be connected somewhere in here. There are the screws. Unscrew those.
See, that makes sense. And in fairness, I do now have more of a grasp. I'm not as intimidated by the idea of doing a brake job on a car because we did one together.
You were fine.
Yeah, and I was really worried when we started. I was like, I don't know how to do this. And you made me worried when you were like, we'll figure it out. I was like, oh no. I thought
brakes.
I thought you were the wizard who knew everything about how to fix things, and it turns out you're not, which is fine.
No, it turns out that I don't know everything, but you see, this is the difference, right? You just said it. The difference is I'll dive in. Even with a little bit of like, I'm not exactly sure, but I know it's not astrophysics.
Okay.
There is no calculus involved in changing brakes.
That's fair.
So you just dive in.
Yeah.
Oh, it didn't come off? I'll bet you there's another bolt somewhere. Let's feel around. There it is. I'll bet you it's around 15 millimeters.
And we needed that special tool that twists.
Yeah, and I happen to have one.
Right. Which, if we hadn't had that tool.
Go figure.
Yeah. So my point in picking this topic was, excuse me, again, thank you, LaCroix. If you want to sponsor this video, that'd be great.
Stop it.
Sorry, it's,
Thank you, water.
LaCroix. Which a bunch of people were giving me crap for drinking LaCroix on Instagram recently because I posted it. I don't know. I posted a picture of it. I was like, it's actually growing on me. And a bunch of people did emojis of like throwing it in the trash and how dare you and ew, gross. And I was like, okay, people have strong opinions about LaCroix. Jeez. But anyway,
because the company's evil or something, or they just don't like the taste?
No, I think they just don't like the taste, or they don't like the idea of drinking a carbonated beverage that doesn't have any sugar or sweetener.
Okay.
Because it just tastes like you're drinking like soda that was stored near a lime tree,
and you're drinking it, not me.
It's great.
I dig water. Okay. All right, so your point.
So the boomers, they did all this stuff without the benefit of YouTube And it seems like most people from that generation were really willing to take that extra step of diving in and learning how things work because they didn't really have a choice. So that's something that's lost on my generation. Unless we have a dad like you who can teach us this stuff, or at least having the mindset of being willing to try. You know what I mean?
How many, though, of those boomers had other people to teach them stuff, do you think?
I don't know.
I really do think a lot of it was just a mindset. That you figured out if your brakes were making noise, you took your tires off and you looked at them.
Mm.
And then you're like, oh, that doesn't look right. And then hey, Uncle Billy, can you help me change the brakes? And you dove in. Like I do remember your grandfather, my dad, who one time came home and I had the toaster oven completely disassembled on the kitchen table. And he's like, what the hell? You know, he's going off on it.
What was that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And he goes, what are you doing? And I'm like, the elements didn't work on the bottom. So it's like, you're going to break it. And I said, no, it was broken. The elements were broken on the bottom. It wasn't toasting bagels properly. So I took it apart. I took the parts down
crisis
to an appliance parts store, which I don't even know if they exist anymore.
It's a good thing you did that. How would your family have survived?
In the 80s, shut up. Back in the 80s, there were appliance parts stores. And I went down there and I walked in and he goes, oh, you need the 473-C12.
Where'd you grow up again?
Well, I'm doing a Southern accent because he's selling parts.
So you're stereotyping him.
You need the C12 dash.
Did you grow up in England now?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Sorry, continue. I'll drink my LaCroix.
And he had them, and they were only like $7 a piece. So I fixed the toaster
instead of getting a new toaster.
Because you take it apart. You start taking it apart, and it's like, hey, there's screws on the bottom of a toaster oven. Go figure.
That makes sense.
And you unscrew them, and parts start coming apart.
I know.
So I think it's more of an attitude thing.
Yeah, and that's fair. I think that is in line with what I was thinking about with this, because I was like examining my own ability to fix things, and like I'm just not used to assuming that I can fix something. So it definitely feels like it could be a mindset thing. That's interesting.
But there's a certain level of things that you'll dive into, though.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you like having me around.
Yeah, try 10 years ago.
Well, right, but 10 years ago, you were only, 19?
Yeah.
So you're still in college and stuff. I mean, I get it. Some of the things are more intimidating than others. Like I don't like dealing with live 220 power.
Well, nobody does.
Because I got hit by
electrician
one time. So,
by the way, I'm glad you're still alive.
Thank you. I still have to deal with it sometimes.
Oh my gosh.
I just don't tell Mom.
Right. And we're just going to pretend this conversation that is now recorded forever never happened. So.
All right. So what is your point then?
So I wanted to just sort of examine the idea of there's a lost wisdom from boomers that doesn't seem like it's been naturally passed down to my generation.
I agree with you. Part of that, I think, is because things are not necessarily, I don't want to say, oh, they don't make them like they used to. That's not
No, that's not what
case.
I'm saying either.
No, but I'm saying there are some things that are designed to be disposable nowadays.
Yeah. In response to consumer demand, though.
Yes, and it's a little irritating because it's not worth fixing. You get a 5-year-old flat screen and it goes out, and I'll go online and I'll go on the forums and they'll be like, it's the motherboard, and the motherboard costs $400 and another brand new television costs $500.
Yeah.
And you're like,
yeah, why not?
Yeah. So that's a little irritating, but there's other things. The electronics do kill a lot of things that you can fix. But then there's other things like, okay, I'm working on a lawnmower right now, and the deck, a brand new deck, is $700. But I'm going to weld like a madman on this deck and put in a new wheel assembly, and I'm going to weld it up like nuts, and I'm going to paint it, and it's going to look basically brand new and probably be better than when it was first manufactured.
Right on. That is the Todd principle, isn't it?
What's up?
Yeah. Make it be able to last a nuclear apocalypse.
All right. Sounds good. Hey, do you have a song for a little known thing?
I do actually. Oh wait, you meant for You mean like a recorded song?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So periodically we'll be sharing a little known thing about Stephen and myself.
I can make up a little known thing song real quick.
Don't do that, because then you'll be doing a song at the end.
Okay.
So, but little known things. Normally these are going to be for the bonus episodes, but we'll kind of give you a taste of one.
This is a bonus little known thing.
A bonus little. This is episode 6.
Not in the bonus episode, just a bonus regular episode little known thing.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
If you're watching the video of this podcast, you may notice that I wear either what looks like the largest wedding band that you've ever seen in your life, or it's more than one ring. And it is more than one ring.
Oh, spoiler alert.
I wear 4 rings on my ring finger on my left hand and no rings on my right hand whatsoever. And the 4 rings are, the one closest to my hand is my actual wedding band that was put on there by your mom August 3rd, 1990, and has not been off my finger in now close to 30 years.
That's impressive.
Because I never had a reason to take it off. And then in Taekwondo, I broke this knuckle, which is now has a little bit of scar tissue in it. And the only way to get that ring off is to cut it off.
Oof.
So I'm pretty confident I'm just going to be buried with that one.
There
The next ring down has a Latin phrase put on there, Pax Domini sit semper vobiscum, which means the peace of the Lord be with you always. Then the next ring is a rosary ring that I had made back in college, and I used to wear it on this finger. And then for a while, I was just wearing 2 rings. But then
you needed to go bigger.
I wanted to go bigger, go home. And then the last one was another rosary ring that I got. And I don't even remember why I started this. I put it on there, and Mom's like, "Okay, that's too much."
And you were like, "No, it's not."
Like, you look like Liberace. And then we went to a dinner party, and I walked in, and I'm talking to the husband, and Mom walks across the room, and she's talking with the wife, and she's looking over at me, and kind of an inquisitive look on her face, and she goes, "Man, I never realized Todd's wedding band is so huge. He looks married a mile away." And Mom went, I like that now.
Yep. I like that story.
It's been that way ever since.
And I don't know if you would even remember this, but when you first got this ring with the Latin inscription, do you remember how they messed it up the first time?
Yes.
Do you remember what it said?
Pax Domini sit semper vobiscus.
Yeah.
So they had to
Which
change the S to
means
the
nothing.
I'm not a Latin scholar, so I wouldn't have noticed.
Somebody who's a Latin scholar, what does that mean? Vobiscus.
I don't know.
It's not the same thing as a
It's
proboscis.
It's the wrong verb tense.
Yeah.
All right. What's your little known thing?
My little known thing. Wait, I was supposed to come up with one? Or are you talking about a song?
No, for yourself. Little known thing about yourself.
A little known thing about myself?
Yeah, that they would be interested in knowing. The people that listen and watch this podcast.
Well, you mentioned martial arts. I am a 2nd degree black belt in Korean Taekwondo. And definitely very rusty, but I can still kick above my head. And I don't stretch on a regular basis, which I should. But for some reason, like my joints and tendons, I must have activated something in there that's never quite gone away.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And the only reason why you probably didn't end up on the national demo team is because Mom and Dad didn't have the money to send you to Korea.
Correct. It was very expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, I would have done that. Also, I'm much bigger than a typical person who does Taekwondo. So I maybe could have had an MMA career, but not in jumping up in the air. I was a little too
I thought
fat
you were
for
going to, if you're talking about Taekwondo, talk about the time you accidentally broke that guy's nose.
I prefer to just forget that happened.
Okay.
Because it was really horrible and embarrassing, and I still feel bad about that.
I didn't bring it up.
Yes, you did.
You got a song?
Yeah.
You want some percussion?
Yeah, absolutely. So this particular song is called The Long Way Home, and I wrote this with my buddy Cam Monroe. You got enough room?
Yeah.
Still young and dumb enough to make a few mistakes. but wise enough to know when to ask for a little grace. Rolling down the road, learning as I go on the long way home. Wrestling with questions I can't find the answers to. Been on my knees hoping that all you say is true. I got a restless soul, I'm learning as I go on the long way home. I know life don't come easy, only got one life to live, yeah. We're only getting older, time is moving slower. When will my heart stop wanting? Always on to the new thing. I'm getting used to waiting, I'm gonna be okay. Finding peace as I roam, taking the long way home. Married with kids, I guess I'm not a kid no more. Hit some dead ends, but just as many open doors. It's been a long, hard road, I'm learning as I go on the long way home. I know life don't come easy, only got one life to live, yeah. We're only getting older, time is moving slower. When will my heart stop wanting? Always on to the new thing. I'm getting used to waiting, I'm gonna be okay. Finding peace as I roam, taking the long way home. The long way home, the long way home, the long way home. I know life don't come easy, only got one life to live, yeah. We're only getting older, time is moving slower. When will my heart stop wanting? Always on to the new thing. I'm getting used to waiting, I'm gonna be okay with finding peace as I roam. I'm taking the long way home, finding peace as I roam, taking the long way home.
Nice. Thanks so much for listening to Familias.
Thanks, y'all. We appreciate it.